You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 23rd meeting for the Michigan City Historic Preservation Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
I'm going to call the Historic Preservation Commission meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Dalton,
Present.
Commissioner Hurd,
Present.
Commissioner Zimmer,
Present.
Commissioner Esbar,
Present.
Commissioner Matsey,
Present.
Commissioner Haddad,
Present.
Commissioner Coulter, absent, Commissioner Hicks,
Present.
Commissioner Bowman,
Present.
Commissioner Granquist,
Here.
Mr. Hale,
Present.
Ms. Vacher is present. Ms. Parcell,
Present.
thank you so much. That is roll call.
Thank you. May we have a motion to approve our agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. Thank you. All in favor, aye.
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 Against? Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to go over their minutes from our last meeting? Are there any questions? May we have a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, same. Thank you. Okay, Pat, would you mind reading our purpose?
Our statement of purpose. Historic preservation is good for cities. No, not just good, historic preservation is great for cities. The reasons historic preservation is great for cities are multiple. Aesthetic, symbolic, cultural, social, educational, economic, and others. Our statement of purpose comes from an article in Place Economics. We also read Section 62-2 of the Michigan City Municipal Code on compliance. The erection, construction, enlargement, alteration, repair, demolition, color change, moving, or maintenance of any building, structure, or appurtenance which is begun, continued, or maintained contrary to any provisions of this chapter is hereby declared to be a nuisance and in violation of this chapter and unlawful. Any person, whether as principal, agent, owner, lessee, tenant, contractor, builder, architect, engineer, or otherwise, who violates any provision of this chapter shall be punished as provided in Section 1-7.
Thank you. Did we have any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 6.
Yes, we have had 3 particular certificate of appropriateness reviews, I will say. 2 of them carried over from the last meeting. Now that Deb Parcell with Indiana Landmarks is back with us, was able to refer a couple of those to her. So I'm going to start with the certificate of appropriateness application for 315 and 319 East 9th. This is the enhancement of a repair of a picket fence. You may recall this came up at our last meeting and I did ask us to defer, waiting to get Deb's review of this particular request. And I do believe she is recommending approval that is conditional, but I'll let Deb speak for herself.
Yes, there's photos of this. If Drew's got a minute to pull that up. I went out and looked at the property. They'd already started replacing the picket fence. I'm not quite sure why they had a picket fence at the rear. That's pretty unusual. But they'd like to replace the picket fence with this dog-eared wood fence, which is one of the styles that you have pre-approved for installation at the rear of a property. It's 6 feet tall, so that meets the requirements. It's made of wood. It's not, they stopped where they were, so that's why it looks a little uneven. It's not secured at the top, but it will be. And it just goes along the alley at the rear of the property and connects with a fence on either side. So it meets the historic district guidelines for a fence at the rear of a property, as well as meeting there's where it's going to go over to that fence next door. So they're taking care. Obviously, the fence that's there is not doing a whole lot of good. So they'd like something a little more secure at the rear of the property. Can't blame them for that. It does meet the guidelines requirements for a staff approval. And so I had recommended staff approval for that.
Thank you. And there were a couple of photos in the packet as well,
Yeah.
if that's helpful. So is the commission comfortable with staff approving? I guess we should go ahead and make a motion for that. Is that necessary, Deb?
Not really, but
Okay,
I mean, if they want to approve it, that's certainly fine too.
okay.
If we don't trust her now, we never will.
Hopefully I've gained your trust.
All right.
Thank you.
So we will move on to 316 York. This is a new certificate of appropriateness application that came in, and I did also give this one, given its location, visibility to Deb and asked her to take a look, and I do believe she has a recommendation for conditional approval. I'll let her speak to it.
Yeah, so we've got some pictures of this too. This is 316 York. This is a contributing property. It's on the corner of York and what was 11th Street, now is the railroad tracks. So this is an upright and wing building built around 1885. So that's the north side there, opposite the tracks. And let's see, the next picture, that's the east side, so opposite York Street. And then finally, I think you'll see the south side. Well, there you can kind of see it from the tracks. So there's a lot going on here, and I was hoping that the property owner would be here or call into the meeting. So where you see that door, I think there's another picture yet of just the door that's facing the railroad right there. So that door replaces a window. You can see the window opening that was taller and narrower than the door that's there. It's a very attractive door, but it doesn't match the style of this house at all, and it was not approved. But that's another story. I'm just saying that's what I saw while I was there. And so if you look at the application, they're asking to put a fence, a 6-foot-high wood privacy fence on all sides of the property, but the track-facing side.
Oh,
It's my opinion that even though there is a door facing the track, if you look back at the photo of the York Street facing side, that looks like the front, and the address is York Street. So putting a 6-foot wood fence in front of that is definitely against the guidelines. Front yard fences, and this isn't just historic, it's also code. So that should not be 6 feet on the York Street facing side. I don't know. Is that the owner?
Yes, hi, we are here.
Hi,
Hey,
good. Thank you for
sorry.
joining.
It took us a little bit to figure out the tech part of it. Our apologies.
Sure.
But we are here.
Sure.
My husband can explain if whatever questions you may have or explain or whatever you need from us.
Okay, let me finish reading my report and then
Perfect.
yep, we'll be glad to have that. So the proposed project is installing a 6-foot-high wood privacy fence with a single and a double gate on all sides but the track facing side. So the finding of fact is that front yard fences should be no more than 36 inches tall and be at least 50% open visually. A 6-foot-tall wood privacy fence does meet the historic district guidelines when installed no further forward than the front wall of the house. So the recommended motion is approval of the fence on the sides and rear of the property installed no further forward than the front wall of the house.
And again, defining the front wall is York Street side.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the side.
Well, we're doing the gate in the alley, not in the front. She said track facing. Isn't that where the front, where our front door is now?
That's what it would be, yeah.
Yeah, but there'll be like a little side gate on the York side, gate to get in, but not like Like there'd be a.
But they're calling at the front of the house.
Oh, that's right. I'm backwards. Because of change. My bad. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So the side that's not going to have the fence is the side facing the railroad tracks. Is that correct?
That is
Yes.
correct. Yes.
Okay. So that just does not appear to be the front of the house. I mean, the house appears to face York Street.
As of right now, because somebody must have lived in that property at one time that was handicapped, so that's why the door is there now. But that's gonna be a window now, so that will appear to be the side of the home. You know, and not the front anymore. And it should be, actually, the home is being put back to what it once was, the way we're doing it. Well, the way the way it is now and why we're asking for the fence. Because the house is actually being put back to how it was.
So your front door is going to face the train.
Correct. And that's, if you look down
That's why
the
yeah.
way, all the other homes, their front doors are on the tracks.
Tracks, yeah.
Yeah,
But
because the
with the
elect,
York Street address, it would appear that it originally faced York Street, and the door that's facing the railroad tracks replaces a window that was there and that has been there for some time. So I think the other ones along what was 11th Street have 11th Street addresses, and therefore they face the tracks because they were facing 11th Street, but this was facing York Street.
Yeah, but there was a wheelchair like ramp made to that. I'm not
Right.
sure. And that front door where it you know, where it was, you literally walked into the staircase for the ups, you know, what you would consider the attic. That doesn't make sense that the front door would be there and that be you know, it doesn't seem right. You literally walk into a staircase, how the property, there's no, you know, I wouldn't think that was original. I feel the way how we've changed it is the way it was original. We're just trying to make the home look how the other homes look, you know, next to us. Being that we are in the historic district.
Yes,
This north
yes, yep, that's north.
tracks.
Tracks are right there.
This is
Yeah,
the south side.
correct. Mhm.
What's confusing is why is the address York Street then?
Well, this is Wendy. Let me make a comment about addresses. They're not always consistent. I can tell you in reviewing addresses across the city, and this is true in many cities, but across the city, there are some inconsistencies with addressing that I cannot describe to you.
And if you look at the map, like we actually figured it out by being when we visited your city office, our home is actually like dead end, the end point of the historic district. So maybe that's why the address is, different, but the home was originally to look like, had to be like the other homes.
Yeah, I can't speak to the addressing, but I did want to be clear that there are anomalies and I
Yeah.
always describe.
I mean, 1885, there could be some, discrepancies maybe.
Sign.
Well, and the other thing too, when we had the electrical meter, brought all that stuff back to the home, that is in like if you guys consider that the front, that's all gonna show now. And we're also trying to hide that as well. So it's gonna look kind of like tacky, where
It might be on the pictures.
you might, if you look at it, like look and see where the gas meters are and stuff now. That's also why we want the fence there too. To
Is the
just
south
kinda hide
boundary
all
of the,
that.
of the property an alley?
Correct. Like,
No, it's
on
on the York Street.
sorry, it's on York.
Is the tracks? Park Street. That's the alley here. They want to come all the way around the side.
Isn't this little charging? What's it? I don't know. Like, you better before it cuts out. Is this another
Let
one?
me ask if I may, this is Wendy Vache. Let me ask a question. The door is new
Yes,
and permitted?
yes.
Okay. Was there a certificate of appropriateness submitted for the door?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
That I'm not sure of.
I don't think so.
Because I'm wondering if that might not be adding, and again, I'm not being negative. I just think that might be adding to some of the confusion. If there's
Yeah,
a certificate of appropriateness application for the door, I think we probably would have had a broader conversation about the setting
Yes.
of the property. Maybe some of these other things would have come up.
yeah.
And they didn't, and that's probably lending to this conversation. Is that?
Yeah.
That's
Okay, so I think we've got some work to do. I'm not going to make the decision here. Obviously, it's not mine. It's not a staff approval, but based on Deb, your recommendation, where do you want to, what do you want to put the recommendation before this board? Because I think we're going to have a broader conversation and maybe a broader COA that needs to be submitted, but that's my
Right.
just gut.
Well, I think one thing we need to confirm with the building department, there's code as far as where a 6-foot tall fence can go, and they don't allow a 6-foot tall fence in the front of the house.
That's right.
So that's not just a historic district
That's right.
thing, that's code. So I guess that would be one thing, is to check what they're going to consider the front of the building, because even if we say it's okay, if you can't get a building permit, you're hung.
Yep.
So I think
Okay.
that would be the good first step, is determining what's going to be considered the front of the building by the building department.
Okay.
I think they already have a,
But I thought there was
but
some,
there's a permit to relocate it or put it to the front.
yes, there's.
There's a, you know,
A permit for what?
Yeah,
to put the front door back to the front or to our front.
yes, we,
Well,
Was it
wait, no,
approved, was it approved by the Historical Preservation Commission?
that we're not sure of, but we were issued the permit from the building side.
Okay, so there should have been a certificate of, any change to the exterior of the house requires a certificate of appropriateness. Now, I'm not saying it did or didn't happen, but I'm saying that
Right,
anything visual should have been. So technically, if the door should have had a certificate of appropriateness, just like the fence, you could have listed multiples, like, let's say, like, that would be fine.
yeah, I would
is that-
imagine that's, I don't know if something was missed, but that's what I was told, how everything was set up.
Okay, no, that's okay. Well, I can double
Yeah.
check with the building department and follow up. Do you want to, should this be tabled? Is there a recommendation?
I was
that
just
you-
gonna ask that, so
Would you like to make a motion?
yes, I make a motion that we table this, we table COA 316 York Street for further clarification. Or
30 days.
I rescind that motion. I make a motion to grant a 30-day extension to 316 York Street, so that we can have a broader conversation about this COA.
Do I have a second?
Could you just add to that the COA number?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, COA 2025-201.
Zero.
Zero.
021, I'm sorry.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
So for our petitioners, this is Wendy Vache. I will be in touch with you once we double check on, I checked with the building department about the door and some of the additional information for your fence. Okay? All right. On to the next, are we good to move to the next COA?
Thank you.
Are you asking them to do anything though?
No, not right now. Okay. I think I owe that, I think I need to look and provide some findings.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. I'll make sure everybody knows.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, so our next COA was a continuation from the last meeting. This is 916 Pine Street. This has a significant number of windows. And so this was a continuation. The owners of the property were here last time. Again, Deb wasn't with us, but she's here now. And so we passed all that information on. Here's this beauty. So I will let her speak to 916 Pine Street.
Okay, so 916 Pine, I think we're familiar with. That's one contributing rated property, American Foursquare, built around 1902 in the Elston Grove district. So their request last month that got tabled to this month is replacing the upper level windows with windows that meet historic district guidelines. So I met on site with the owner last week. We talked about it. He has a new on the job project supervisor who was unaware of what we typically want for windows, and he was embarrassed. We've worked with him in the past, and he's been very good at it. So I was surprised that he was proposing vinyl windows. He wasn't, his project manager was. So we talked about that and looked at the windows. The problem with these, they're casement windows, and they are the original windows. And the original plan was to repair all the wood casement windows. And as they got into it, the contractor found that there's a lot of deterioration and there's a lot of the hardware that doesn't work. And so I contacted another wood window repair contractor to kind of verify this. And he agreed with that the hardware fails on this type of window because of the way they, fold and crank out and that kind of thing, that they're subject to deterioration. And so they would have to replace not only fix the windows, but they would have to find replacement hardware, which is difficult and expensive. So what he's proposing is to salvage, they feel they can get enough decent hardware from the second floor to repair all the windows on the first floor. And so they would save and retain all the windows on the first floor. And then for the second floor and then in the attic, there's some small double hung windows. They would propose replacing all of those with something that would be approved by the commission. So same size, same style, they would be crank out casement windows. So either an aluminum clad wood, a fiberglass clad wood. He wasn't sure because we were down to a week away, but he said, I know what you guys want. So that's what he's going to be looking for in pricing and getting a quote on that. So the findings of fact on this is that the 2023 COA scope of work included repair of all windows. Most window hardware was found to be in poor condition and needed replacement. New hardware is costly. Upper level window hardware will be used to repair the lower level windows. Second floor and attic windows are proposed to be replaced with windows that meet the historic district guidelines. So the recommended motion is approval of replacing the second floor and the attic windows with windows to match the existing windows in type, style, size, and light division, and of a material approved by the commission, with the condition of final approval by staff.
Any questions?
When you talk about the light divisions, can we just make sure that the mutton bars are on the surface of the glass and not between?
Absolutely. That is a pet peeve of mine. So yes, no problem. We will do that.
Anyone else? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve COA 25-017, the replacing of second floor and attic windows with windows to match existing windows in type, style, and light division. And the mutton bars be on the exterior and of a material approved by the commission with condition of final approval by staff.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second. The address of the property, please.
Address is 916 Pine Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I'll go on to item number 7, which is the staff review,
Mhm.
if that's appropriate. COA number 2025-022, which is basically 130 West 4th Street. This was staff approval for paint touch-up. Everybody know where this property is? You know where the Ritz Club is?
Mhm.
You know where the Yellow House is next door?
Yep.
Everybody does.
Everybody knows where the Yellow House is next door. That's the property. It's not full scale repainting. It's basically just touch-ups of what is already there. And so that has been approved. However, if I understood, this is I was a little confused in the original COA about the color scheme and the approval of the color scheme. So this is one of those things that in our processes and procedures, we can work on a little bit, just so the cold reader like me could make sure I understood, but it's a touch up, so I approved it. We want it to still look good, even as bright yellow as it is. And you can't miss it. The second one, staff approval was for COA number 2025-020-803 Spring Street. This is a beautiful old brick property. This is a repair of the belly bricks that are midway down right under the window. You can clearly see where they're bulging. It's gonna I spoke with the gentleman who's doing the work. He's just going to fix the bulge, same color, everything. It'll go back the way it is. So it's a repair that unless you walk up on it, you probably wouldn't even notice it. But I staff approved that one as well. And that's all I have.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you. Any committee reports?
Not that I'm aware of.
Old business.
A couple of things of old business. I wanted to acknowledge the letter from the Historic Preservation Commission to the Redevelopment Commission, just looking to inquire about partnering and potential opportunities to work together to make sure historic preservation is done appropriately and thoughtfully within our districts, knowing that not everyone can always afford to be able to do things the way maybe we would all like them, or even they would like them to be done. So just wanted to acknowledge that. We'll look forward to hearing back from those folks soon. I wanted to say congratulations that all meeting minutes for the historic preservation are now up to date with the clerk's office. Thank you, Gianna.
Yes.
There you go. Thank you. Small things, big victories. We appreciate being up to date. So y'all are up to date and legit, right? So more on that. And we had a lovely discussion earlier about our 2025 work plan. And even some things about what might happen in 2026. So we'll look forward to exploring more of that and how the commission moves forward and what's important. I will say, for the good of the order, that communication and understanding the value of historic preservation, what it means, and how this group is willing to work with business owners, renters, leasees of all properties is really important. And I think everyone can agree on that. So that is the old business that I have.
Any new business?
Couple of things. We have a new contract for 2025 approved with Indiana Landmarks. Deb Parcell is back in her seat. Glad to have all of that resolved. Invoices paid.
Great.
Marching ahead is a unit. This is really positive. So glad to have overcome any kind of concerns there. Looking forward to working with Deb and team as we go forward. The city's new website has been launched. It is a work in progress on many fronts, and we are working on the historic preservation page in particular. I sent out a variety of communications to that today, and then we spoke about some things when we had our work plan meeting. So more on the city website. I will be sure to send out a link to all of you once it's been at least created. There is no historic preservation page yet, but there will be. Okay.
It's still emichigancity.com.
Yes. So I will send that out, but I wanted to let y'all know, and then what I'm doing, because we have resurrected the historic review at emichigancity.com email. The reason being is we need a single place where we take this stuff in, and a way to communicate with people. So I've been using that email. It is on the revised application materials, et cetera, that's in your packet. But I just thought it's a better way to communicate with people. And if it's in a shared email address, no matter who's here, you can go in and see what was communicated, what was shared with folks. It's just another good source of record keeping. I thought it made it easier. To that end, it is not in Cloud Permit.
Amen.
We're not ready. We will be. You will be, Commissioner Bowman. You will be ready, I promise. But for the time being, we're going to stay analog, as in keeping with our historic preservation process. How about that? Old school. So yes, I will be delivering everything by Falcon. I keep threatening. I wanted to draw your attention to the revised historic preservation materials that are in your packet. And look, these are for your review and comment. We have plenty of time to go over these, but I believe Gianna sent them back out today. We made some edits. And these are going to be put on the website as well, but I would like your thoughts. And I wanted to say a couple of things. First of all, the first page is just, what is the commission? What's important? Why does this matter? Pat, you'll be happy to see I put the statement.
Yes.
Okay. Following. And as I mentioned, and this can be built and changed, but I wanted to make sure you can see all three of the historic districts are listed here, as well as a link to their National Register nominations, so that folks can learn and understand more about why is this even relevant. Okay.
Right.
And then just talking about how all property within these boundaries are subject to certain state and local laws. And what that means. And then the most important thing is to find out, is your property in a historic district? And so I have asked that the map widget, if any of you saw that was in the old website that I had created, be moved to the new website. So you don't look at a PDF, you click an actual map and you can zoom in and you can find out a variety of things about the property. And so that's being reinstated. I just think it's so much easier for people. So that is part of it. Then we kind of reduced like the application instructions. We did a one-pager of, why does this matter? Why are you doing this? How does this work? If you have any questions, to let us know. We'll have a link to the design guidelines. They do need an edit, but we'll have a link to those. And then I wanted to make sure there was also a link to the color palette. And we can always add more, but at least start there, get the colors right. How it looks matters. We talked about that a little bit earlier. And then just to make sure that the historic review email is updated on here, as well as a phone number to reach us. But I've really been trying to use the email because I think it's better. Just so people, I can put in writing and back and forth. So it's worked pretty well, but I wanted to point that out. And then again, trying to simplify it, a one page on what is the checklist for the COA. Okay. And thank you, Gianna, again for helping. And then getting the application. There really hasn't been massive changes to the application. It's pretty straightforward. I think the most important thing that people understand is, tell us what you're doing and why, and give me photos so that we can see, and then what you're proposing, so that we all have enough to chew on here and make our decision. And that's what we're really trying to get with folks, even with some of the back and forth on email. It's just that communication going. And at this stage, I have requested that people begin to apply 1 month before the meeting, because we need to, for anything that needs to go to Deb Parcell for additional review, I got to give her at least 2 weeks. It's not fair to put this on her 2 days before. And most of the time what we're finding is we need to ask folks for more info. And so if we have a month, they put it in, we give them enough time, I get to it, get back and forth, can usually get it over to Deb, and I think we'll find a smoother way of getting our meetings and our reviews done, which should help folks and eliminate confusion. So that is what is in your packet. Not married to any of it, please. Any and all comments. Happy to make it better. Dan Granfield, this was something, Granquist, this is something I know that you felt very strongly about in terms of clarifying, making things easier to understand. So I just want to acknowledge that. That's the attempt.
Thank
I'll look
you.
forward for your comments. And that's all I have under new business.
You have been busy.
Yes.
Thank
I have
you.
a question,
Yes, sir.
Wendy. Is it possible to be a little bit more specific about what kinds of drawings we're asking for?
Yes.
I mean, you just say floor plan and site plan elevations. I don't think that really explains to people that it needs to be like, I don't know, I don't know how to say this without. But
The context and the improvement could
They need
use
to
more
be-
professional
they
oversight.
need to be professionally done. I mean, we can't just take any scratch on
Sure.
a napkin.
Well, these are what we have, but we can always add to this. And we can definitely put in, I could wordsmith something that talks about more complicated designs and how those need to be done. Do you want me to work on something and share it?
I don't, yeah, if we can find the right diplomatic language.
I will work on it.
You're so
and
good at that.
I try. We'll take note of that. And then, yes, we'll work on including that. And maybe what we can do is provide a couple of examples.
Yeah, great idea.
Right. Hokkaido comes to mind.
Yes, exactly.
And the lovely folks at Hokkaido will be back. But I know that in thinking of that, there was just a challenge there. And I know it, in their application, they did have some professional help, and then their professional help was out of the country. And so they had a hard time getting some things done, but they're back. But your point is well taken. So let me work on that. Maybe we'll come up with another 1 or 2 pager that talks about the examples, and I'll put that in there. I'll share it with you guys before the next meeting. And if you like it, we'll put it up on the website.
And could we maybe refer them to professionals that could help them? Is that something we could do, like a list of drafting professionals or
Well,
architects, designers in the area?
Well, what I could do is we can definitely explore that with legal counsel. What I
Yeah.
don't know is, I don't know that we have a registration for any of that, so I don't know about how we would go about at least coming up with a list of.
Yeah, we need to talk.
We'll have to talk about that, but Larry, we will. How about that, Commissioner? Sorry, Commissioner Zimmer. I will take that under advisement and then figure out what we might be able to do without promoting folks,
Right.
but providing info.
Right.
That is a place where we've stepped in the past, and we have a list, and we felt we could do that legally if they came to us and asked.
Okay.
We could give them a list which has a couple dozen architects that are particularly well suited to historic preservation in northern Indiana, and send them a list of those. And some of those architects have done some work here in Michigan City. So that's one place where we could be helpful.
Okay, that'd be great. I mean, and if that's a link that you could share with me, I would appreciate that, and I can take a look at that. And if it's appropriate, we could share what you have to share.
Maybe. I'm not sure how much sharing we do with our list, because I don't know.
Okay.
I share it with individuals, but I'm not sure that I share it with others.
Got
Share publicly, you know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see what we can do about
Yeah.
resourcing.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, thank you. That's all for me.
I don't think we have any public comment. So we'll move on to commission and staff if there's any comment that anyone needs to make.
Well, I have one, and that is, even though we have the talented Gianna who is helping with all things, the regulations still require that the Historic Preservation Commission have a formal secretary. Is that true, Mr. Hale?
This is,
Okay. So if you do not formally have a secretary, you still formally need
Need one,
a secretary, even though Gianna is more than happy to be supportive and helpful.
may I add a comment to that?
please.
The official secretary does not have to be the person who makes out the minutes. The commission secretary can be someone who is in charge of it, supervises it, approves it for submission to this body, but can delegate, like you all can delegate. So really, it's not putting an onerous burden on any of you if you were to be elected as secretary. Gianna would still continue to do what she does so well.
Well, I believe that I was the secretary. I just stated that I did not have the time to do minutes. So I'm happy to stay on as secretary, or you can elect somebody else.
Do I have a nomination?
Larry.
Second.
Third.
I think we are all in favor.
Aye.
If I
Aye.
oppose, same. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you,
We
Secretary.
appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, Jan.
And thank you to Mr. Hale for pointing that out to us and making it easier for Larry to say yes. Any other business that needs to come before?
Well, I just have some comment here. I think one of the critical factors is the filing date that's assigned to each COA, because under the ordinance, we have specified time frame to approve. Is Councilmember Greg Coulter still our liaison to this commission, I think?
Yes.
So, but one consideration would be to work with Attorney Hale maybe and propose and the council to propose some amendment to the historic preservation ordinance. And maybe we could extend that time so we're not limited. I think it would be advantageous to applicants if we could have more time without having to deny it and kind of continue on. So it'd be something to consider if there's that, and maybe some other little tweaks we could have to the ordinance if the Michigan City Council would be willing to consider that. Just a comment, no vote or anything at this time, but.
Okay, anyone else?
Me, sorry. What do we as the Historic Preservation Commission do when we see a property that is being worked on that we are not sure if it is being worked on appropriately, meaning if those COAs ever happened, or if the owner is still the owner, or you know what I'm getting at? Like, what do we do about the coffee shop, the M&M Diner? Like, it's under construction right now, and we know from previous COAs that have been brought to our attention what was supposed to be done, and those things aren't happening. So what do we do about that?
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
I would like to be clear that as members of the Historic Preservation Commission, you do not have authority to take action such as a building commissioner or an inspector would do. So you do not have authority to put yourself in a position to be assumed by the owner or the worker or the contractor to have that kind of authority, or that you have special authority in this matter. You can, I suppose, if you wish, identify yourself as a member of this commission, but I would urge you to stop at that point. What power and authority you do have would be to communicate with our building and inspection department and urge them to make as soon as possible inspection of the property and report back. I think you'll find that they'll be happy to do that. Immediacy is always a problem in these matters, and you need to urge immediacy, an immediate response. And I think if we find that we aren't getting it, that should be a matter of discussion by the whole commission, and we can then approve some sort of action to adopt it. to pursue immediacy.
Thank you.
I will offer this in addition, and thank you, Attorney Hale. You can always contact me as well. If you see something, you can always go through the historic review at emichigancity.com email and put it in there as well, because then it's in writing. And then I will make sure that I send it along to the right folks as a way to just help facilitate if you need me to. Okay?
Thank you. And I think we kind of bombarded you with that earlier at the meeting, but about
okay.
what Amy's talking about. So
Gotcha. Noted. I got it. No problem.
I know you do.
And there's a section of the ordinance that provides for penalties, which we referenced sometime last year, I think. So I'm not sure offhand to what extent we can just raise that unilaterally or sua sponte, or if it's tied to a COA, or is that subject to inspection review, and then to what extent and how can we implement that?
I would urge you not to suggest to an owner or a contractor.
Oh, no.
I would urge you not to suggest fines or penalties to an owner or a contractor or a builder. I think that that presumes that you have more authority, and I wouldn't want you to do that. Wendy's idea is best. Contact her immediately if that's what's needed, or contact the building department, inspection department yourself.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Amy? Good, good. Any other thing to come before us?
Yeah, just wanted to remind everybody, Preservation Conference is coming in September. And so registration just went live this past week. Conference this year is in Fort Wayne. And the first day, September 30th, is a Tuesday. It'll have special sessions for Historic Preservation Commission members. I will be helping along with my counterpart from Southern Indiana to lead a roundtable discussion. And there'll be, you've had Krager Smith here in the past he's from Fort Wayne. He'll be one of the people presenting, and there'll be people from other commissions. And then we're just hoping to get a lot of conversation about various topics that are specific to Historic Preservation Commission members. So I'd really encourage you to go on Tuesday. And then it also continues on October 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So the sooner you register, the cheaper it is. So
Where do we get info on?
indianalandmarks.org. Look under events, and it's clear down at the bottom of the list. So
Anything else that needs to come? Call for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.